Hey, hi everyone. It's Friday, time for calm creativity and stimulating your spirit. Marsha Grace here. And as I said, I'm your calm creativity connector. And today, it's a beautiful day here on Long Island. Sun is shining, it's warmed up a bit. So I'm definitely going to take a walk later to stimulate my spirit. But today we are going to be talking about enriching your relationships as another aspect of how stimulating your spirit can be of benefit to you. So, because there is a way, and the way that we talk about every week really is a way to experience your feelings and your thoughts so that you can handle the difficulties in your life with calm and peace and joy. So even when we're experiencing the difficulties that we're experiencing these days, it seems like we've never experienced the things we're having to go through right now. But in fact, I know I've lived long enough to find that there's always something else, right? You solve one problem and there's another one right behind it. So, so life goes on, and that's just part of what it is to live in this world. So, my experience, is teaching students how to connect with their inner wisdom. And we do that by stimulating our spirit, as we're talking about in these last couple of weeks. So today, I want to explore relationships because that's where we're all at, right? Everybody's got relationships one way or another, whether it's family, whether it's in business. We're all dealing with people around us. And maybe now, especially, it may be even a little more of a challenge because if you're spending more time in your family situation because of COVID and all of that, we might be starting to get on each other's nerves. I don't. It's possible, right? I hope not, but it's more than likely that we're all suffering quite a bit of stress under these conditions. So. If your business is having a problem, let's face it, it's very stressful. So I'm here because to me that's really important. It's really important to recognize what's going on in our own thoughts and experiences, and to not do what so many people do, which is try to self-medicate or run away, become blobs in front of the boob tube, those kinds of things, which are not really useful solutions to problems. So we can handle our stress and we can do it in a positive way that helps us to get through the difficult times, right? So last week we talked about expanding our patience ability, and that would be stimulating our spirit to give us more patience with each other, with ourselves. So, and that's it's just such a wonderful thing when you can slow down and not react so quickly as we can often do in the face of something that comes up that kind of throws you for a loop. So being patience is really an important aspect of that. But this week we're going to be talking about relationships. And first I want to tell you a story, though. Okay, so one morning many years ago, I was in the kitchen making breakfast for my kids. And my husband came in, and I don't recall now the specifics of what happened. I don't remember what he said that ticked me off. And in those days, I was definitely not the person I am now. I mean, that's for sure. Very high-strung, very easily hurt or insulted or whatever. And so I took umbrage at whatever he said and flew off the handle and really gave him the business, which I was pretty good at. So, and his reaction was to hightail it out the door. So, that's exactly what happened. I started to yell, and he just turned around and he left. And in that split second when he was walking away, there was a part of me that just kind of cringed internally. There was this sense of deep sadness, and a whole mixture of emotions came up. And so, but the one thing was that I realized that this was awful. This was terrible. I didn't want this. This is not the way I wanted my morning to start, or my day to start, or my relationship to be with my husband. I didn't want that. And I just, like, all of a sudden, it was like this blinding light came shooting down. It hit me in the boom, right in the head, and opened up this awareness that I could do something about this. And so it came to me. I just found myself rushing out the door to follow him before he took off. And just as he was sitting in his car, I rushed up to him and I said, "Larry, I am so sorry." I said, "I don't know what happened to me this morning. I just lost it. And I took it out on you, and I am really, really sorry. Please, forgive me." And the best part of this whole thing was the look on his face when I said this. He looked at me with such joy and such relief. It was just the most beautiful thing. And he smiled and he said, "No problem." He says, "I'll see you later. Got to get to work." And off he went. But I was so relieved. It was so wonderful. Okay, so I tell you that story because I was in the really early stages of learning how to stimulate my spirit in those days. And this was an example of what can happen when we learn to exercise that spiritual muscle and begin to bring peace into our relationships and forgiveness and all the good things that we really want. So this is what can happen when we bring spirit into the experience that we're having, whatever it may be. So, because we don't even realize what we're doing sometimes. We don't even realize the effect that it's having on other people. We don't realize how we have ruptured our relationships because of our just our unconscious actions that we do. So by developing that ability to stimulate our spirit, we are able to self-reflect, which is what I've been talking about for the last umpty weeks, how we can go within and find the answers that we need. So, but I want to backtrack a little bit because I keep talking about spirit, and I don't know how many people are on board with me about your spirituality, because you may still be questioning whether or not you're spiritual, or even if you want to be spiritual, right? And I understand that. I get it. Because of, again, this is about how we define things. Okay, so let's get back to how I define what being spiritual is, or what spirituality actually is, because it has nothing to do with being religious. It necessarily, you could be religious and spiritual, but you don't have to be religious to be spiritual. So it means that you recognize that you are part of something larger than yourself. That's what being spiritual means to me. You are part of something greater, something that is all-encompassing and creates the environment in which we exist. Some people call it God, or universal consciousness, or life with a capital L. It doesn't matter what you call it. It does matter very much, though, that you experience yourself as part of that. Because when you do, you have a couple of great things that happen, right? So when we see ourselves as part of something larger than just ourselves, because when you're by yourself, it's kind of intimidating, isn't it, a little bit, when you feel like you have no one backing you up, or when you feel you're on your own and there's no one there to really support you, it's lonely and you feel defensive. But when you are part of something greater than yourself, that's a whole different story. So the first thing that is that you feel safe and loved, right? You've got a community. You have, whether it's a church community or your neighborhood or where you work, your business, whatever it is, your family, of course. When you have that community that you belong to that makes you feel safe and loved, you have now you have somewhere to go, something to rely on in difficult times, and that makes all the difference in our state of peace of mind, right? Which is what we all want, right? We all want to be peaceful. Okay. And so then the second thing about, being in this larger community is that you begin to find your place in that community. You have that opportunity to say, well, what's my role in this community? And people, will help you find that, and offer suggestions. You'll learn from other people, and you may be mentors or what have you that will show you something that you're going to say, wow, that's what I really want to do or be. So when that happens and you find your part that you play in that larger community, you can take pride in yourself. You take pride, and you're building your own self-confidence as a result. And again, this is all stuff we've talked about before, and it really is so essential to how we can nurture our spirit so that we have better relationships. Because when you're in the midst of all of these people that you're sharing your life with, and you see yourself as part of that and having an important part to play, you're going to be more conscious of how you speak to people, how you listen, how you deal with the people around you. So let's list a couple of ways that you can acknowledge your part in this greater good that'll help you with your relationships. And the first thing that you want to do is you want to be a good listener. So I don't know, have you ever noticed how when you're talking to someone, you can't wait to get the next word in, like you wish they'd shut up so you could talk now? Do you find yourself doing that? All right, there's an example of ego. That's your ego at work. Your ego is like just running wild. You want to be a good listener because, well, there's a number of good reasons why you should be a good listener, because you never know what you're going to hear that could be helpful to you. So if you're willing to listen to what other people have to say, you might learn something that could really benefit you. So that's certainly one aspect of it. And the other thing is that when you listen to other people, they feel listened to. They like that. People like to feel listened to, and so that improves your relationships right there. So it doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to do whatever it is they say or suggest just because they said it, but it does mean that you have an opportunity to cement and strengthen that relationship. And the other thing is that another thing that we do as we experience ourselves in this greater community, this greater consciousness, is we discuss. So in discussing, a conversation is so natural. It's natural and essential for human survival, right? We need to talk to each other. We need to communicate. And so as we learn how to do this, we begin to see how there's a give and a take, right? I give, you give, we share back and forth, and that's a natural experience if we allow ourselves again to truly hear one another. Now, the problem comes in when, let's say, you're having a discussion and you say whatever you say, and then the other person says something, and but maybe they're not really listening to you that well. Maybe they're talking and you're listening, but they don't really give you a chance. So, right? This is where the problems can come in, right? So this is when spirit your spirit really can come to the forefront to help you in a difficult moment, because nobody likes to be ignored or to be spoken over or belittled in any way, of course, right? So remember now, the answer to this is that there are two parts. There's two parts to our mind, the way our thinking process. There's the old story, the devil and the angel, right, on your shoulder, and that's an apt way of putting it. I call it ego and spirit. Okay, so your ego is your protective reptilian brain that's there to say, I'm watching out for you, I'm on guard, I'm not going to let him get you. And so there's always that sense of defensiveness and ready to fight. On the other hand, your spirit is the part that says, we can always find an answer, we can work this out, it's everything is going to be beautiful, don't worry about it, we can do this together. And so when you recognize that there are two parts to your mind, then you can notice which one you're paying attention to at the moment and decide if that's the right one you want to listen to. So, so if you're listening to your ego, it's going to go into defense mode, and you're going to find yourself probably at odds within this conversation, and then there's going to be hurt feelings and who knows whatever repercussions. So you want to realize you have this choice. The choice is to say, wait a minute, that's not where I want to go. I don't want to be there. I want to be peaceful. I want to have a peaceful relationship, and so we switch to that mentality, to that state of mind. And when that happens, and when you allow spirit to come to the forefront, you'll get the answer that you need to rectify that situation. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to throw your arms around this person or, I don't know, skulk off and let them get away with whatever they were doing. But it may be that you'll walk away. It may be that that you'll just say, I'll talk to you later. It could be any of those things. What you decide to do will come from spirit, and it will be the thing that will bring peace in the moment. And that's the important aspect of that. So, we don't know what the answer is, and I can't tell you what the answer would be in the moment, but nonetheless, you will get that peaceful answer. So, all right. The last thing that I want to say about how we stimulate our spirit so that we can have better relationships is, of course, to learn to listen to that still small voice, to that inner guidance. Always, I always go back to that, because that's where peace is. That's where peace is, in the moment that we are able to sit and listen to our internal wisdom, which will guide us as to what to do. So that's the greatest thing you can do for yourself to help stimulate your spirit. Because stimulating your spirit is like building muscles, spiritual muscles, right? You have to work on it every day. Every day. If you don't keep your muscles tuned up, they're easily going to go to flack. So if you want to increase your ability to manage your emotions, because that's what we're dealing with here, is to manage those emotions appropriately, so that you don't fly off the handle like my story that I told you at the beginning, and risk really rupturing your relationships. You want to learn how to spend quiet time every single day, preferably first thing in the morning. Spend that quiet time in what I call meditative contemplation, which is getting in touch with that inner wisdom, finding your so-called master switch that connects you with the source of all knowledge, as I often say. That's where the peace is, and it's cumulative. So as you allow yourself, just like again, building muscles. Your muscle doesn't go from nothing to like huge in one day. It's something that builds up over time, and with constant and continuous effort. So it does take work. There's no free rides here in terms of finding peace in your life without effort. But when you do put in the effort, well, I can speak for myself. When I put in that effort, it's become to the point where if I didn't do my morning time, I miss it. I mean, it's so important to me that I'll be late to something else to make sure that I get it in before I start my day. It's very, very important to me because it changes everything. And again, it's part of that. You get into that routine and it becomes a part of your life, and a very gentle and loving and wonderful part, to say the least. All right, so to enrich our relationships, we want to remember our spiritual nature. We want to stimulate that spiritual nature so that we can improve our relationships. And we do that by recognizing that we're part of something greater than ourselves, in which we have a very important role to play, and to share our expertise and our knowledge with others so that everybody benefits. Okay, so, excuse me. Part 2 is our meditation today, and breathing. So let's do sniffing breath today, okay? Sniffing breath, we haven't done this in a while, but it's also very relaxing, and it helps to fill the lungs and get that great oxygen to all the little cells in our body. And it also, breathing just relaxes and energizes at the same time. I know it sounds strange, but that's true. So let's do this. You're going to clear out our lungs. So we're going to blow out all the air in the lungs, and then we're going to sniff in. So let me show you first how this works. There's 3 sniffs in. It's a little bit of a hold as you lift your chin, and then through the lips, just blow it all the way out, pushing the belly in. So I'll do it one time like this. Okay, so that's the way we do it. All right, so let's blow it out and begin. Sniff, 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 up and hold, and blow it out. Sniff, 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 hold, and blow it out. And once more, sniff, 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 hold, and blow it out. All right. How does that feel? Feels good? I find when I do that breathing, it just brings me right into the moment, and which is where you want to be. If you want to be calm, creative, and joyful, that's where you want to be, in the moment. So, all right, now as we experience this sense of being here in this present moment, I want you to think about a recent argument you've had with someone. As you close your eyes, I forgot to light my candle. If you want the candle, here it is. So think about someone who you've had a disagreement with, an altercation, whatever you want to call it, right? You had a big scream out fight, whatever. And how did that end? Just think to yourself, just as you're closing your eyes or looking at the candle, just bring back the feelings that you had, how you felt when that was going on. Did you feel your chest crunching up? Did you feel your jaw stiffen? Did you feel your forehead, crinkle? Were you having trouble breathing or breathing quickly? And how did it resolve itself? Did you go off in a huff? What happened? And just kind of play that back a little bit. And so now that you have that memory, I want you to re-roll it back to just at the beginning of that altercation, whatever it was, whatever the words were that was said, or whatever was happening in the moment that started this little scenario. And as you do that, as you bring that back to mind, notice how you can stop. Just stop for a moment before you say the next word. Look at this person in front of you. And instead of saying anything, just notice this person and that this is somebody you value. This is someone who means something to you. This is a person who the last thing in the world you want to do is to be on bad terms with. So now that you've noticed that, now that you've brought that back into your awareness, instead of saying whatever it was you were going to say, either to defend yourself or to, get your point across, whatever it was you were going to do, again, you're stopping and you're reflecting on what you really want to happen in this conversation. And you suddenly realize that what you really want is peace. You really want understanding. You really want to feel connected to this person, not separated. And so, because you've become aware of that and you realize that's what you really want, the words that you were going to utter just dissipate. They just flow away. They flow away. And instead, you say, I hear what you're saying. And I think we ought to talk about this a little more. I think we can discuss this and come to some amicable conclusion. Would you like to do that? And then listen for their answer. And hear them saying, looking surprised maybe, because they're expecting you to come back at them and get into it. So they may look surprised, but then you hear them say, yeah, I guess that would be good. Yeah, I'd like that. And then you smile. You smile at this person, and guess what? They smile back. And suddenly, this whole argument, whatever it was, shrinks like a balloon that's been burst open. You let the air out, and it just floats away. So see that. Just see that. Feel that whole energy of angst and all that stuff. Just feel it just evaporate. And feel the great relief and peace that washes over you because you made this decision. You decided that you weren't going to listen to that little ego that wanted to defend itself, that you much preferred the peace that your spirit helps you to recognize and remember. And so now you've brought peace into this situation, and you may give this person a hug or a smile or whatever feels appropriate, and wish them goodbye for now. See you later. And just take one more slow, deep breath as you internalize the good feelings of this outcome. So just take one more slow, deep breath in. And as you let that breath out, you can let your eyes come open. And we're back. And I hope that that was something that was helpful to you in realizing how you can make different choices by using your spirit to help you so that you can enrich your relationships, bring peace and understanding and true companionship to them. All right, good. Well, so if you enjoyed today's discussion, I very much hope that you will pass it on to others. Give me some comments, some likes, what have you. Love to hear from you. And as I always say, remember, everything begins with a thought. So keep your thoughts light. All right, have a beautiful weekend and a great week. Until next time.